There's a cream that costs less than $1 per use and wipes out car scratches in under 10 minutes flat. Your local body shop quotes you $300 for that identical result. Sometimes $500. Sometimes past $1,000. Sometimes climbing over $2,000 when the damage touches 2 panels. This product has been sitting on shelves since 1901, more than 120 years. It was never hidden from the trade. Mechanics have always known. Dealership technicians have always known. Insurance adjusters especially have always known. But ordinary car owners were never meant to discover it, because a $74 billion industry feeds itself on that ignorance every single day. They didn't suppress this because it disappoints. They suppressed it because it delivers too well. A product any person can work into their paint in their own driveway using nothing but a microfiber cloth cannot keep a body shop's lights on. And what can't keep the lights on cannot prop up an industry built on labor markups running 500 to 1,000%. This is the story of the compound that erases scratches for pennies, and the empire that spent over a century hoping you die without knowing its name. Welcome to True Wild Camping. If this kind of truth matters to you, subscribe and hit the bell. This is where we crack open the vaults they sealed shut. In 1901, a man named Frank Miguiar Jr. stepped into his garage in Southern California, carrying nothing more than a polished bottle and an egg beater. No chemistry degree. No engineering background. Just a furniture craftsman who blended one bottle at a time and knocked on doors to sell it, just to keep his family fed. When the earliest automobiles began rolling off production lines, Frank spotted something nobody else was paying attention to. Those first cars were constructed with wooden bodies, and the very same polish that restored furniture to a shine could bring a car's surface back to life. He switched from dining tables to Model Ts almost overnight. By the 1920s, the Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing Company, the company the world would come to know as 3M, had engineered waterproof sandpaper specifically for automobile factories. That one invention cleared toxic dust clouds out of paint workshops and permanently changed how vehicles were finished across the entire country. By the 1950s, Frank Miguiar Jr. was gone, but his 3 sons transformed that small garage business into a professional powerhouse. Malcolm Miguiar engineered chemical formulas that body shops and vehicle manufacturers applied to every car leaving every factory floor. The product carried the name Mirror Glaze, and it became the unquestioned industry standard from coast to coast. Professional painters swore by it. Car show champions depended on it to produce that untouchable showroom floor finish. But here's the piece of this story they buried the deepest. Mirror Glaze was labeled a professional-grade product, deliberately kept away from everyday consumers. Body shops ordered it in bulk for cents per use, then handed customers invoices for hundreds of dollars to wipe it across a body panel with a rag. The markup wasn't 10%. It wasn't even close to 50%. It crushed past 1,000% on every repair ticket written. Nobody pushed back because nobody outside the industry knew this product existed in a form available to the public. It wasn't until 1973 that the Miguiar family finally brought a consumer version to retail shelves, more than 70 years after Frank assembled that first bottle by hand. 7 full decades of body shops hoarding the most profitable secret in automotive history behind locked workshop doors. In 2008, 3M purchased the entire Miguiar's company outright, tightening its grip over the compound supply chain even further. But before we go deeper into what was deliberately buried, let me stop here for a moment. What you're watching right now is only the beginning. Inside the True Wild Camping Vault, I've assembled everything the automotive repair industry, the dealership network, and the systems built to drain your wallet have spent years trying to keep invisible. The Forbidden Firecraft Manual. The Lost Rations Cookbook with preservation methods that function without power or refrigeration. The complete off-grid blueprint for cutting yourself free from every monthly payment system. The 72-hour blackout checklist for when the grid goes down and no one is coming to help. And a full section of automotive survival knowledge the dealer lobby buried for decades. Over 10 guides. Zero filler. Every word counts. The link is waiting in the description. But don't go anywhere. Because what the science reveals about this compound is going to make you genuinely angry about every dollar you've ever spent at a body shop. Your car's paint isn't a single coat slapped onto metal. It's a 4-layer system engineered to protect the vehicle and hold its color over years of punishment. The foundation is bare metal, the structural skeleton of the vehicle. Bonded directly onto that steel is the primer, a chemical barrier that blocks rust from taking hold. Sitting above that is the base coat, the pigment layer, the color you recognize as yours every time you spot your car in a parking lot. And covering everything on top is a transparent protective shield called the clear coat, designed to absorb everything the environment can throw at the vehicle. The clear coat takes the ultraviolet radiation, the acid rain, the bird droppings, the tree sap, and the road salt battering it through every winter season without complaint. Here is what body shops will never say out loud to a customer at the service desk. Close to 80% of all car scratches, based on figures from industry technicians themselves, never break past that top clear coat layer. They appear white and alarming because light scatters along the edges of the groove, not because bare metal is exposed, not because your paint job is ruined. The damage is surface level, almost invisibly shallow, and the fix is almost insultingly straightforward. Rubbing compound holds microscopic abrasive particles suspended inside a chemical solution. When you work it across the scratch using a clean microfiber cloth, those particles carefully remove a hair-thin layer of clear coat surrounding the damaged groove. The surface equalizes. The light stops scattering. The scratch disappears as completely as if the parking lot incident never happened. Today's compounds are built around what engineers call diminishing abrasives, a refinement developed over decades of laboratory work. As you apply friction, the particles progressively fracture into finer and finer fragments. They open aggressively, cutting away damaged material, then transition into a fine polish that brings the surface to a mirror finish. One pass accomplishes both stages at once. It is the identical principle gemologists have used to cut and finish diamonds for centuries. The same science optical manufacturers apply when grinding precision lenses for telescopes and cameras. Body shops run this exact same compound across your car every single working day. They buy it in large industrial containers. A gallon runs $20 to $30, and that single gallon stretches across more than 100 customer repairs. The material cost per scratch repair barely reaches 25 cents. But the number printed on your invoice reads $300, or $500, or well past $1,000. Labor makes up 70 to 80% of every body shop bill filed in America. The product cost is almost invisible in the math. What you're really paying for is the advantage of not knowing this compound exists for $8 on the shelf of every auto parts store near you. That single $8 bottle handles more than 50 scratch repairs on your car, your family's vehicles, your neighbor's bumper, and still won't be empty. Cost per repair falls below 15 cents, against $300 at the shop counter. That is a markup sitting at 2,000%. And that 2,000% markup is the structural foundation holding up a $74 billion industry in the United States alone. If you've stayed with this video to this point, you now carry more knowledge about car paint repair than nearly every vehicle owner on the road today. Subscribe and pass this along to someone who's been overpaying for years. Everything the industry suppressed lives inside the vault. Link is below. Stay with me now, because what comes next is the deepest vault this channel has ever opened. So why is this still a secret? Why are millions of drivers still writing checks for $300, $500, over $1,000 for damage that costs a quarter to fix in materials? The automotive collision repair industry pulls in more than $74 billion annually across the United States. Stretch that figure worldwide, and it exceeds $200 billion every single year. More than 300,000 body shop operations are running across this country at this moment. Labor rates at those shops run between $50 and $150 per hour. A straightforward clear coat scratch that demands 20 minutes of real hands-on work gets invoiced at 3 to 4 labor hours. The technician works the same compound available at any auto parts store, runs a buffer over it, and slides a $300 bill across the counter. Material cost was under a quarter. Everything above that was margin. These figures aren't speculation. Industry analysts publish them openly. It compounds further. When a scratch travels across a panel boundary, shops don't restrict themselves to compounding the damaged line. They repaint full panels, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, citing color blend requirements. A 3-centimeter scratch along a door edge suddenly triggers a complete door repaint blending into the rear quarter panel. A 15-cent compound repair inflates into a $1,500 spray booth job. Rubbing compound can never be patented. The chemistry predates intellectual property protection by over a century. There's no subscription model for a product delivering 50 applications per bottle. No recurring revenue from a solution a customer purchases once a year. No $74 billion empire built around a product that hands the customer their independence back. So the industry executed the only play available when a cheap solution threatens an expensive one. They made it disappear. They labeled it professional use only and kept it off consumer shelves for 7 decades. They trained every dealership service advisor to push full panel repaints on every scratch that came through the door. They made sure the fingernail test, which takes 5 seconds and reveals the true depth of any scratch, never made it into mainstream knowledge. The body shop business model only survives if the customer walks in believing a scratch demands a spray booth, a paint gun, and a licensed professional. For 80% of scratches, that belief is completely false. Here is the exact process. Pause now if you want to write this down. Step 1. Clean the scratched area with soap and water. Dry it completely with a fresh cloth. Step 2. Perform the fingernail test. Draw your nail straight across the scratch at a right angle. If it passes over with no resistance, you're dealing with a clear coat scratch. Compound handles it entirely on its own. If it snags lightly and the paint color is still visible inside the groove, the base coat is involved. You'll need compound and touch-up paint together. If it catches sharply and bare metal or primer is showing, the scratch is full depth, but your complete material cost still stays under $15. For a clear coat scratch, clean the surface with isopropyl alcohol to strip away wax and road contamination. Place a pea-sized amount of rubbing compound on a clean microfiber pad. Work it in straight lines running parallel to the scratch. Circular motions produce swirl marks, so avoid them entirely. Use firm, steady pressure for 30 to 60 seconds. Remove the residue with a clean microfiber cloth. Still faintly visible? Run the process a second time. Finish the area with a protective coat of wax. For a base coat scratch, begin with the compound step to level and smooth the scratch edges. Use the fine tip brush in the touch-up paint bottle to fill the groove, matching your car's specific color code from the sticker in your driver's side door jamb. Allow 24 hours of drying time. Then run a light compound pass over the painted zone to blend it seamlessly into the surrounding clear coat. Finish with wax. The result is visually identical to a professional repair. Touch-up paint runs $5 to $10 at any auto parts store. A body shop quotes $400 to over $1,000 for the same job. Your total spend is under $10 for 15 minutes of work plus drying time. For deep scratches reaching bare metal, add one preliminary step, a small bottle of automotive primer applied before the touch-up paint. Primer, touch-up paint, compound, and wax combined stay under $15. The same repair at a body shop runs $800 to $2,500. One thing deserves to be said plainly, because the truth matters more than the story. This approach solves 80% of all car scratches completely, the clear coat damage and shallow base coat grazes that represent the overwhelming bulk of everyday wear. For the other 20%, deep structural damage, collision level gouges, multi-panel impact, a professional facility with a proper spray booth is the correct solution. The problem is that body shops price every single scratch as though it belongs in that 20%. They charge collision level rates for damage that needs nothing beyond a quarter's worth of compound and 5 minutes of effort. That is precisely where the $74 billion originates. Not from technical mastery, not from advanced equipment, from the distance between what you know and what they made sure you didn't. Every additional day a scratch sits open to rain, road salt, and humidity. Oxidation works its way deeper through the layers toward the bare metal below. A repair that costs 15 cents today can become a full panel rust restoration, costing $2,000 3 months from now. The compound costs next to nothing. The body shop costs a small fortune. The industry understood this from the day Frank Miguiar mixed his first bottle in 1901 and spent 7 decades engineering your ignorance. This knowledge never disappeared. It was sitting there the entire time, patient, waiting on a shelf at the auto parts store you passed 1,000 times without ever picking up that bottle. If this video changed how you see the industry, subscribe and put it in front of every car owner you know. Every share keeps alive what the repair business worked hard to bury. Every subscription pulls open another vault they believed was sealed permanently. The next vault drops soon, and what they hid inside it runs even deeper than this.